And we are live. Hi, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Moms for Trans Kids podcast. I am joined today by, y'all, let me tell you, girl crushes are real because I have been girl crushing today's guest like forever. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Yummy DR Factor. How do I just Dan? What am I calling you? Mama Beast? What?
I love, first of all, the Mickey Mouse ears are giving me all of the feels for the happiest place on earth. So here we are on the happiest place on podcast today with
Yes,
Mr. Lulu. I'm so
yes.
happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, Dawn Ballard and the Yummy Factor by Dior is what it's like I don't even want to say my business, but it's what my coaching practice is under. And the reason why I say yummy is because you know when it is, right? So you know when something is yummy, when you know it's not like, do I like it? Is it okay? But that whole idea of is it yummy? You immediately click into yes, it is, or no, it's not. And I do a relationship coaching. And so that is really a pivotal thing when you're dealing with relationships and people. Like, does it hit your heart? Is it yummy? Does it feel good? And so yeah, so the Yummy Factor by Dior and Dior is my middle name. So
I found that I thought it was L though, not L. So is it
with
L
L
and
Dior. Yeah. So I
L
have two
DR?
middle names.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So we are officially live. I know it's a holiday weekend, but we are live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook, we're live on a bunch of places. We already have a bunch of people watching us from Instagram. P Twig, welcome. Ude Chuk, welcome. Ask your questions. We are not going to leave any stone unturned. When mama bears or mama beasts collide, this is what happens. We're just here to share about the love that we have for our children. Now, I did not know you are a relationship coach. I just found out like just now. This is crazy. I was wondering, I said, what does she do for a living? So tell us, who is Don Dior Yummy Factor Ballard, and why did you decide to come on this? I used to call it random, but it's no longer random because we have gone international, y'all. Okay, did you know that UK Black Pride is featuring my tiny little podcast for the UK Black Pride this year? So I'm like, okay, we are officially international. This is serious. Okay, so why did you decide to come on the show?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's as much as we can spread the idea of love, acceptance, joy in this trans space, understanding, education, conversation, all of the things that create a wider breadth of our human family being that what it's supposed to be, which is a family, and creating space for our children. It creates space for all children. So when I was introduced to what you're doing, to your fabulous way that you're showing up as a human, and all of the spaces that you're speaking into, it's what is creating the change that we want to see in the world. So when I look at my life and using my voice to create that change that I want to see for not just my children, but for all children, these are the ways that we do it now. We're coming onto podcasts, you're writing, you're showing up and showing out and raising your voice. And so that's why I'm here, to be a part of the conversation, and continually be an artivist, which is a artist that's an activist. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here and see how this incredible conversation is going to go. I've been listening to your podcast, and I love the conversations that you all get into. I love the way that you guys really center that idea of love and creating a sense of joy around who our children are and how they're showing up in the world. And so I'm excited to be here to hopefully just create more of that energy.
I cannot wait to meet you in person. I think y'all, I go crazy with my energy, but when I met, I was like, her energy might match mine because I'm truly out there. I'm unapologetically like me. And what are you going to do when you're 55? Like you're almost looking at 60. So there's no time for pretense. There's no time to waste. The message is urgent. They're coming for us. They're coming for our kids. The best that we can do as Mama Beasts is to just get out there and just show out. Amir, welcome to the party. Amir is one of my adopted queer kids. Amir, thank you so much for all the love. Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to be talking real talk today. I don't get Black Mama Beasts often on this show. I don't. So I'm
Mhm.
so excited to have you. And just you are just so pure. I watch I don't, your videos, your clips, everything about you just celebrates life and love and light and air and seaweed and all the things. It's just so beautiful. So
I love
thank you
that.
so much.
Kiwi.
Yes, thank you so much for just coming on the show. So now that we got all that out of the way, and y'all please ask us questions. There's a bunch of y'all on Instagram. Ask questions. We will answer all the questions that we can. So the show is called Moms, the number 4 trans kids. It pretty much says what it is. There's no question about what the show is about. We are Black moms of trans kids today. Like literally, there's a match. We want to talk about what is it that made you not think about it? Because I watched the interview between with you and your husband, and I was like, you didn't even hesitate. You were like, let's go. What was it about you? Because it's got to be something, the essence of Dawn, that made you just kind of lock steps with your kid and you're like, let's go. What's the next thing? You didn't even like, it appeared to us, those of us looking from the outside, like you just fell right into step. Did you really just fall into step, or how did that come about?
I love that question because, of course, everybody has that moment of like, what was it like in real time? So, in real time, I have to say that, we've raised our children with the idea that we are spirits that are having a human incarnation, but that we really are spiritual beings. And so, I have to say, honestly, that because I really had that has the backbone, and I know that our children understand that. I have to give a shout out to my youngest, who was really sitting next to my oldest as he was letting us in, really telling us who he was. And he reminded me in that moment as Zai was coming out, he was saying, Mom, you always tell us that we are spirit beings having a human incarnation. And so Zai is the same as, what their name was before, just having another understanding of who they are. And so there is a through line to who that butterfly, the caterpillar butterfly moment that we were watching transpire in front of us, my husband and I. It was not one of those situations where we felt a lot of upheaval. We wanted to lean in to understand. We had an inkling, our child was never presenting as, just girl. That was not.
Mm.
So we already had. So there's this funny clip, of course, right now that's our from our Black Love interview, and we really did. We had our whole conversation ready for, knowing that we're thinking that we were going to be talking to our kid about, that they might be lesbian. So it was already
Yes.
in our side of awareness that there was something that was different, right? So we were, looking at a child that was never wanting to be the princess, never wanting to be in dresses, never wanting. I was a tom girl, the name that you give for, very adventurous girls. So I was just kind of prepping myself, and my husband must have been prepping himself alongside. We had that manual in our arsenal of, okay, because no matter what, you're accepted and loved. There really is a thing called unconditional love, and we were walking it. So, but in our consciousness about our child, that wasn't, trans was not even, I don't even know if it's a word I really had in my, I don't think I never had met someone who was trans. I did not have that as a, part of my word gallery. And so as I'm listening to my child revealing and letting me in on who they understand themselves to be, I found that we were all leaning in to listen. Um, there was so much love in the room. I don't know. Like I feel like when you really are in tune with your child, you're knowing something is transpiring with them, you're just really, I'm waiting to be let in so that I can be supportive of whatever new understanding my child is having, right? And that goes with all kinds of things like friendships and school conversations and what's happening in their world in general. I have been that parent. My husband, thankfully, is that parent that wants to fully embrace, hopefully be of some service and help. But this was definitely a loop that we were like, what happened?
I know. I know, honestly, Don, and first of all, thank you for teaching me. So it's Don, as in like
Dawn.
Don, like
Yes,
Don. Okay, Don. First
yes,
of all, I
like
want to give a shout.
DAWN. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
AWN. Okay. So Don, thank you. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Old Tubbs, who is a mother of a 25-year-old trans kid who is giving you flowers right now on Instagram. This is what this show is about: uniting Black mama beasts. Because who else do we have except ourselves, right? My child is 25 years old, just like T-Buzz's child is 25 years old. And I know T-Buzz's story so much, like, because she is South African. So I'm West African, she's South African. Now, these are the things that, let me tell you, what you just said now, I was like kind of welcoming, possibly gay, because my child was assigned a male at birth. And I was
Right.
like, well, maybe gay. But this whole trance, I was like, what? How? But also, just like you said, my middle child was when I said, Mom, I think it's because X is non-binary. And I was like, what the fuck is
Mm,
that? And then it was my baby that said, wait, hold up, Mom. You know that I also had to go through my own transition, not in as many words. So my
mm,
children, just like yours, taught me the different facets of this journey. And I had to also just kind of get out of myself, get out of my way, and get going because there were things to do. So your story and I almost are like in sync, different ways, but in sync, except my ex-husband wasn't having it,
ah,
was not going to have it. So
mm,
welcome to the show. Kim Dory is my co-mama beast. She's saying, good evening, beautiful people. Sorry, I'm not there. And she's not feeling so, but
ah,
I'm not there. But we love you, Kim. But this is so beautiful. So thank you. And then thank you for using the phrase letting in. I use inviting in. So I love that you're
I
using
love that.
letting in. That is so beautiful. And then I love that you said the word love. Love was just in the air. Tell us a little bit more about it, because watching your Instagram, the ones that the algorithm allows me to see, it reflects that. That's all I see is love and beauty and joy. And your smile, the way you laugh with all of your being. I tried to write a post about you today. I said to
Oh,
know her is to know that she smiles with her whole being. Your laughter, your
mm,
smile is always like all the way. And I'm like that. I love that you hold nothing back. So welcome to the show. Thank you for
ah,
just reflecting everything that I've always known and seen and been. I love that you reflected for me. But tell
oh,
us more about the love that was in the room, because this is something that most people struggle with, as you can imagine. When their kids are telling them these things, I don't know anyone, as I said, that they've seen love I had one guest who said she told her child congratulations, but no one else
Mm,
has ever. Yes, she didn't say thank
that's
you. She didn't
beautiful.
say. She said congratulations for living authentically, for getting there, for sharing with me. All the things I was like, I'm stealing that. But tell us more about the love that you felt. How did you? What was it? I know it's almost
Well, it
like
was
hard to put in
interesting.
words, but
Yeah, I love that question, Dr. Lulu, because the we have a lot of we have a lot of humor in our family, a lot of music, a lot of conversation, and all of it centering around this whole idea of us being this dolphin pod. So we see
mm,
ourselves as this foursome that is, really on this beautiful journey together.
I
And
see it.
so in any time that family meetings are called, there is this energy of wanting to make sure that everybody feels safe, and then there's this love. And in this particular moment, because now it's, when my child was coming out of middle school on their way to high school, it was the summer
Mm,
between that move. And there was a lot going on in our world in that time. We had just sold our house, we just moved. My husband had been working not in the same city, so we had to travel to him. And there was this sense of all of us being back together again, which was so, needed. And Di had a lot of anxiety going on. And both of the children felt a little interesting. And it's because Zai had just let his younger brother know what was happening with him as he was realizing this is what's happening with him.
mm,
So they were then coming to then join together to come then let us in on what's going on.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so there was a sense of happy, thankful to be back together again. And now, because at first he was like, the first night when we got to where dad was, he was like, I
mhm.
have to tell you something. And we were like, wait, hold on. Let's have a family joint dinner, please.
Yes,
Let's
let's first arrive. Yes, let's first arrive. Whatever it is. Okay,
can we
okay, I get
can we
it.
get into one, can we get into one room? Can we break bread? So the next day it was one of those, okay, tell us, what is this? You
What
know,
is this?
what is happening? And so I don't know. There's one thing that I wrote about it later in my blog, but I felt that there was like this birth happening, this entrance of a new way we're getting ready to be on this journey. And in the article, or in the blog post that I was writing, I was like, there was this sense of, when you know that there's something big that's happening in your family, you know that once I understood it's not a health thing, nobody's sick, nobody's, dying, nobody's got a disease, nothing's happening
Mhm,
like that, but it's just an
mhm.
understanding of who they are. There was this amount of ease that needed to be allowed into the room, so that there's not ripping and tearing. I'm not like asking you a million questions. I'm actually just listening. I'm actually
Just
just leaning
listening.
in. I'm actually just having a moment of being there at the birthing of a new space for our family,
Mm,
and
mm,
um, and knowing that all of the questions and answering and studying and creating of the knowledge that we needed to then have underneath it to support what it is that we were hearing would
mhm,
come after we make sure the love is in the room, right? Because that is what makes sure that you feel safe in order to be yourself. And everything that comes after that is catching up to the head knowledge, but we had to have the heart knowledge first, right? The heart knowledge is that you are my child. I adore and love you. You were made by God, and I asked for this child. I wanted
mhm,
both of my children so fervently. And so that didn't change in this second that you're letting me into this new understanding of yourself. That doesn't change. So you're in a loved room, you're in a loved, moment, and we're just hearing what is now new and needs to be, discussed as this family unit. And so that's why I felt like love is in the room, and we're birthing something, a new understanding, a new pathway for our family. And we were, the God that created you the day before still created you today, and you're loved.
I
You're
love it.
loved. You're
And
accepted.
thanks on behalf of me and all Mama Beasts who misstepped at that moment. I want to say
Mm.
thank you. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart because mine was not like that. It wasn't beautiful and colorful and airy and full of love. It was over the phone. I was in a different stage. She was in a different stage. I took it. I did not respond well. All the things. And I tell my clients all the time that I've made all the mistakes so that they don't have to. Because truly, I did everything you can imagine wrong. And in
Mm.
looking back at it, obviously I'm not making excuses for me, but I see how, and I know you mentioned your husband, and we don't have to name drop, but he is who he is. I mean, he's a Hollywood star. I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Ah, you're so
However,
sweet.
comma, but however, comma, I see how having a supportive spouse lent lent some energy to the reception of the birth of the news. And I love that you used that because you're African, obviously, because you said that. In Nigeria, we say that. When we say somebody wants to give you news, we don't say they want to, we say they want to give birth to news. I mean, that's what we
Oh,
say. So I
wow.
love that you said that because that is actually true. It's a birthing of something new. We say that when a day, when the next tomorrow is born, is what we say. Tomorrow is not dawning, it's just it's born. You know what I mean? Like, so we use
Beautiful.
words like that.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that because
Yeah.
for me, I did not get it wrong, but also did not get it right. But I love that what we are doing here is creating space for all the ways parents can receive the news and all the ways parents can course correct, even if we
Yes.
didn't get it on the right?
Yeah, because it's not about, and so, even in the expressing of how it did transpire in our house, the object is not to be perfect. It is to be available for repair, right? So it's like it's not about, there's so many things that I get wrong, got wrong, continually to get wrong. So even as the children, we talk, when we say that someone's gotten something wrong in our house, we're like, "Oh, you were human. Oh, you're human. Oh, you were humaning. Oh, okay. I mean, like, you failed. You're a human." Is that not what a part of what being human is? And so the idea is not about the perfection of it, is the about, are you willing to repair? Is it something that you see now that you didn't see before? How can I be in that spirit of repair so that the relationship is even stronger, right? Because to
Yes.
me, repair creates another level of strength that not even having gotten it wrong does, because it lets you know that you don't have to be perfect and the other person doesn't have to be perfect in order to have a loving relationship. And that is the thing that lets you know that you can be strong enough, resilient enough, willing. And they say even in your muscles tear down to then build up
Build
strong.
up.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's tears and there's, wear and tear. There is that type of resilient building creates something that's bigger than it would have been, even if it would have been a lull of greatness at all times. And we didn't have that in our family, and it's not it's not attainable. It's this idea of perfection. It's not real. And we're constantly having to create space for repair. And so even in that, I hope that what the takeaway is that we're going to always have places that we're like, look, gold star.
I
And then we're
know.
going to have places like redo.
I mean, and then pray. And I think my mother is the one, on a rare occasion, I do quit my mother. My mother said, "Show me a perfect man, and I show you a dead man, a
Mm,
perfectly dead man." So
yeah.
no one is perfect. So I love this quote. Usually I look for a quote for the show, not to be perfect, but to be available for repair. It's the subtitle of a doggone book. I love it.
I love that.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
for that.
Ready to be, because it's like and also even as we were progressing through this, what was so great about right after Zai let us into this new space is that we already had planned a road trip. So you can imagine 4 people who are now on the road after this new understanding and all of the ups and downs, and it felt like as we were traveling across the country, we were traversing this inner journey of where we were going, all the unknownness of that. It doesn't mean that you're not, concerned, that you're not bemused, that you're not confused, that you're not, like trying to figure out your words and how you should say them, and you're not tearful over what was
What
that you
could have,
thought
yes.
was solid under your feet, right? So
Hmm.
there was a mourning period that I had to go through, that was me just letting go of the picture, right? Letting go of this idea of what it meant to raise a daughter, and all of the ways that you vision into it, and create myths and ideas of what that's going to look like, and you're going to have to let that go in order for the real of what is happening in front of you to live and have room to breathe, because you are choking it out, and most people do it in normal situations. Cis normal kids, you're like, I want to have a cheerleader, I want to have a child that is, a fashion model, a queen, that does little princess things, and you don't have that kid, right? Or I want a kid that's a football player. I want a baseball player. Whatever it is, those are your visions, your ideas for what you want your child to be. And then guess what? They have a life. They have their whole being of who they are, and
Who
it
they
is not
really
going
are.
to be you. So
I like say less, say less. Let me give a shout out to Kim, who says, I love witnessing sibling love and unity. It is so
yes, that's so beautiful.
special. Ooh, y'all, let me tell you, I'm one of 6 children. At this very moment, I wouldn't say that my siblings and I are rocking it, but there's one of my siblings who, no matter how far away we are, whenever we meet, we're just locking step. And that's my immediate younger brother. And that has always been, he has my back. But it's funny that when my dad heard that I'd fully invited the world into my queer space and I was now married to this woman, my dad had threatened to even like think about the word disown. And one of my siblings shut it down. It's like, wait, hold up. This is my big sister right here. Like, what are you gonna do again to a 42-year-old woman who's living her life? Like, hello, like, if you don't understand, better read the room. Like, this is a grown adult. And so that's a sibling sharing, like, showing up and showing out on behalf of his big sister. So I to this day I appreciate my brother for that. That said, I also love the way you drew a nice picture with the road trip you were taking. How no matter where the destination was, you were in the moment on the journey and just leaning into the journey itself. How that parallels to leaning into the journey of this child that, okay, it's just a page that you didn't think was in the book, but okay, well, there's this page or there's this chapter, but the book is the same book. It's just this chapter you didn't know was written. And so the end of the book, it doesn't matter because we're still along the journey. And I think that to me, once I realized that with my child, I was able to, okay, I see. So it's still the book of your life. It's just there are some chapters that I didn't know that needed to be written. And I think I want parents to look at their children that way. We don't get to write the books of, and our parents didn't write our own books. Our parents did not. And I don't know if anybody saw the post I made a few days ago. My dad dead named my kid more than once. And I finally, from somewhere primal inside my stomach, it came out. And I said, no, not
Mm,
anymore.
mm,
You're not allowed to dead name my child again.
mm,
And
mm.
we went other places with it, but I was so proud of myself at that moment to be an African woman, a Nigerian, and Ada is the first daughter. There's a whole space that I occupy as the first daughter. There's only one Ada in a family, and that's me. And I
Mm.
had to remind my dad that I am the Ada.
Oh,
And therefore, this is my child, and I'm the only living parent that this child has. I
mm,
don't know what it's like to lose my father, but my child does. And so,
mm,
in the name of anything that you believe in, I want you to leave my child alone or use the correct name. I'm
mm.
like, I don't know where it came from, but I was so proud of myself. I was shaking at 55.
Wow.
I was
Wow.
shaking. But I delivered the news and I was like, yes, I did it. Because I had to realize that, listen, I cannot keep telling people to live authentically if I let my father dead me. And I had to remind my dad, like when I got divorced, you know, he went on and just could not accept that I was there. I said, Daddy, I'm divorced from this person. Like, I'm no longer their wife. I had to remind him. I said, it took you long then and I let it go. But this time around, we're not gonna, we're not having it. So
Yeah.
it came from that day I was like, I am truly a mama beast. Because, ooh, that was,
But that's that, it's like it's the reason why I guess people say about bravery, right? So it's like if anything is going to give us the strength to be more than we thought we could be, do
it's
more
our
than we
kids,
thought we could do, create more, and rise up in our lives. Hopefully, it is the love for our children.
children.
If anything can help you, and I'm speaking to the every you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It is, if you can't do it for them, then who, right? um,
Ooh,
and in doing it for them, you do it for yourself,
yes,
and you
amen.
do it, which is what I truly believe, is that you do it for your dad, because until we're free, until all of us are free, we're not free. So
No one is
even
free.
when your dad thinks that what his, view, which is just, needing to widen, it frees, right? So it's like freedom creates more freedom for people. So
Exactly.
it's more freedom for him to, be and create and do and think outside of his narrow idea of whatever it is, whatever level of narrow it is, because it's like narrow could be this wide, or, you know, so,
Depending on the person, yes, yes.
and it
Wow.
then creates more freedom to me in our world. And so
Mm-hmm.
in the claiming of space for our children or ourselves, which is what your journey created, space for your own self to be you, space for your
Mm-hmm.
children to be themselves. We create a world that is actually reflective of what we need to do as humans, which is creating a world that believes in diverseness and welcomes it, because it is the lifeblood of our planet. It's like I equate it to the idea of like all of the pesticides that we're using to kill off things that we don't like, that disturb us, make us uncomfortable, and then you end up breaking down the ecosystem, and now you can't, they're like, you're killing the bees while you're trying to kill the gnats.
Yes.
You're killing all kind, you're killing off, like,
You're poisoning the soil, even. You're poisoning the
you're
soil. I
poisoning
mean,
the
as you're
soil, the
trying to
food,
kill the bugs.
just trying to have homogeny, trying to
I
have
love it.
this unicrop, this one sameness, this, all of it is related. So even in our humanness, there is diverseness in our
Yes,
humanness.
that-
There is
yes, I love it.
diverseness in our worldness. And we would talk about David Attenborough because we love him in our house, and he is a conservationist, and he does all of the wonderful planet videos about this wonderful, amazing world we live in,
Mm-hmm.
and he is always showing a new discovery in that world, like a new discovery that you didn't know under the ocean is is some fish that is day glow and changes sex or whatever is happening.
Yes.
You're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. And we're not all freaking out, we're just going, that's another type of way that life on our planet is incredible and magical and diverse. And these are all the ways that even as humans, we thought it was a binary system. It made us feel like we had a handle on something that is very mystical about being human in general. And it's also not new. It's
It's
a
not
old
new.
understanding.
Love it.
It's a first peoples, First Nations, indigenous people understood all of the different ways that humans come, and it was considered something very special, just like how you're having twins is not your normal
Yes.
birth, not
Yes.
everybody's a twin or a triplet, is very unique. So trans LGBT, this community is a unique way that we show up on this planet.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought in the indigenous people because my people are also considered indigenous. And in my language, which is Igbo language, the Igbo land, we, way before the colonialists came, we had all forms of relationships. We had women who took wives to be taking wives. We had men who took husbands to be taken husbands. We've had all these things, and then they came and said, "Oh no, this is the only way to do it. Now your way is wrong." But that's not true. And I remember one of the things I told my dad a long time ago was I showed him the pronoun in my language is "all." That's
Mm.
everybody's pronoun. There's no
Oh.
he or she. It's all. All is he. All is she. All is them.
Mm.
All is, it's like all of us. So there's no, so this is not something that is very hard to understand if you really wanted to look into it. That, and therefore, just bringing it back to the fishes in the sea, hello, that's the extremeness of God's vastness, that we cannot understand truly all of God's creation. They have created bigger things than one binary kind of fish. So why not human, which is God's best work? Why isn't God's best work possible of
We're
being
the
conscious?
most, I mean,
Like,
and then we're this, only this and this. Like, really?
yes,
Like, really? Are you sure?
yes,
I'm just
yes.
thinking, you might just want to, and it's such a, I find it, for lack of another word, fascinating and
Yes.
exciting and just, so, and also I find it very interesting as humans that this hanging on to this old idea is such a scary journey for some. And I'm like, what is the fear? Like, what
What
is,
is it?
and
What is it?
I can only come up with the idea that, our universe is very vast. And so we're constantly trying to hold on to the things that we think we know.
And
Um,
control, yes.
and they have some control over our lives, and putting things in categories and putting things in, places that we want them to
Yes.
stay and stick is a way that we try to create control out of our world. And then I try to remind people that the only thing that's guaranteed is change. The only thing that's guaranteed is movement, is expansion and contraction. Like, these are the ways that the world, so in and of itself, being along for that ride of life is the thing that is going to create the most security for you, is to understand that things are evolving, they're changing, they're growing. And the staying stuck in the glory days of whatever that felt like for you, whether it's, you had a great childhood or college days where everything, or you were the king of the prom or whatever happened, that is a bygone era. And so, even as humans, this bygone era of binariness, even though it's actually just a middle era, because as we are talking about, the peoples that were most in connection with the earth, with being able to be in harmony with their surrounding, with this planet, with Mother Earth, understood this expansiveness of humanness. And so it is really colonialization, this middle period of time that we're in, that has created in our minds that there is only this and that. And
Yeah.
so when we allow that, and that it's not new, and it's not a jump scare, and it's not coming out of any nowhere, and it's catching and all of this, it's really just,
I know.
it's always been here. It's always been around. Twins are always going to happen every now and then. So are
Love it.
triplets. And
Love it.
and it's going to be okay. Your world,
It's gonna
nothing
be
happened to
okay.
you.
Yes. Ooh.
Nothing
And
happened
it's
to
gonna be
you because my
okay.
child is trans. Like nothing happened.
Hello.
Your life didn't, nothing happened.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm saying
And
that
so,
actually, there's a word you used earlier on. You used when told a story about me just kind of checking my dad ever so subtly, but then again so powerfully. You
yeah.
used the word bravery, and I don't know if you know Jeffrey Marsh. A lot of us follow Jeffrey Marsh, and Jeffrey Marsh had a post on Instagram recently where they said it's all good for y'all to talk about how brave queer folks are, how brave trans kids are. And they were saying, why don't we try to create a world where the trans kids don't have to
You
be
need to
so
be
brave?
brave.
And I was just like, oh, that was it right there. Why do we have to be, oh, you're so resilient? Why don't you just create a world where I don't have to be resilient? Nobody has to be resilient. We're all just moving along. And like you said, my child's transness didn't do anything to you and won't do anything to you and will never do anything. Like,
And that's the thing, that, speaking into the space of just being Black women,
mm-hmm.
and just the energy that it does take to traverse this life, you know,
Oh,
right now, um, in this brown skin and this Black skin, it's it's an interesting take on what bravery, resilience, being able to, I don't know if the word endure is a very good word, but we're creating a level of humaning that is needed in order to birth a new space in our world. So this amount of bravery that it takes for us, is really speaking out into our world that in general we need to be brave enough to
mm-hmm.
let go of the patriarchy, to let go
Mm-hmm.
of our small way of thinking. And so the people who are the first warriors on the line are hopefully helping show that we're capable. It's like the person who, broke the 5-minute mile starts to then, it resonates
Yes,
through the whole culture, through all of people, because it's like it can be done. So the
yes,
desire is to not let my bravery, my child's bravery, be in vain. It's to resonate into the world that you can too be
you
who and
too
what you'd
can.
like to be. If your parents were doctors and you don't want to be a doctor, like it's not just to one subject, right? It's to the idea that I don't own my child. I don't own
Yes.
anyone else's body. I don't own women's bodies. I don't own, other countries. I don't own people. They are for
Oh,
themselves
oh, yes.
created in order to have their own full and complete life. So
Experience, yes.
even in this experience that seems so niche, my desire is that this type of energy of what it's really saying rings out into our whole world. If
Amen.
you can be free to not follow in your dad's political footsteps, in your mom's being just whatever it is that it doesn't resonate with you, if it is something that you want to go do, that you go do it, because we're
You
here,
do.
each of us, with a special gift to put out into the
Amen.
world.
Amen.
And my child is completely and utterly capable, because God's given them everything they need to do their mission. And it is not for me, to need them to please me in order for me to be like like they're
Amen.
living for me. Like, dude, then you should just not have no children and live your own
Yeah,
life, your own
that
freedom.
part. That part. That part. Don, before we end, because we're, believe it or not, we have
Look
15
at
minutes
us.
to go. I mean,
You know it.
I don't know how many times I'm going to say thank you. And at this point, I love you for
Oh,
just being a fierce mama beast that you are. Thank you for continuing to show us examples of what's possible. Black love, black mama bear love,
mm,
black mama beast love, black self love, black woman love, all of the things. I also wanted to go to your own mother, because the article we talked about before we went live that you wrote for the Advocate magazine, that turned me into, wait, who are the Advocate people? Oh well, can I write an article too? But the
yes.
point is, I want you to talk to us about that article. I don't want to spoil it for people, but your mom made the cut for that article. It's really about your mom for Mother's Day. Tell us a little bit about that article, and I don't know, the why of it, the what of it, the how of it.
Yeah, I wrote an article that was speaking into the Mother's Day space, that, just like Valentine's Day, everybody's not happy that, they're not happily in relationships and getting candy and everything's great. Mother's Day is one of those feelings of layeredness, right? Where for whatever the reason, whether you had a injurious relationship with your own mom, whether she's passed on and you miss her, whether you would love to be a mother to a child and have not been able to fulfill that idea. It's fraught. The Mother's Day, the time of year is fraught for people. And while we're all, giving accolades and flowers to the primary idea of this is what motherhood looks like, my
Mm-hmm.
mother and I, for most of my life, were in a in and out fraught um, relationship. And so Mother's Day was very challenging for me. And then it became very beautiful, because as I had my own children, I was able to experience it in the way that, the Hallmark card shows you, you've been there
Yes,
for me, you've loved me, you've unconditional,
yes,
blah, 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 blah. And so, but I
yes.
didn't have that for my own. And so,
Mm.
but the reason I wanted to write this article is because my mother, we had repair in the way that she ended up being able to have the space and the um, somehow this love in her heart that extended to my child, that created a repair in our relationship. So my mother was a completely intriguing, fascinating, smart, um, very creative, just an incredible person. And it's just that we had a hard relationship. And so she had turned into a very, through some of our estrangement, she had turned into a MAGA Republican, which was very shocking
I
to me.
see that. Yeah, I saw that.
And she was very religious, and so we find that has some a thread, that's running through our country, even with the evangelical Christian movement, that is also a part of what has been a very transphobic energy that's been happening in our country. So those, religious lines, a lot of times, and especially as we're talking about, this type of religious lines, the colonialism religious lines that we're looking at.
Mhm.
He was falling into all those categories. And my son came out during a time we had been estranged, and she wanted to see us. And I hadn't been speaking to her, or we hadn't spoken in a year or so. And I was concerned, because once I understood her new political leanings, and she had been a Republican. So to be clear, she'd been a very McCain Republican, and she had started out as a civil rights activist. So it was such a
Oh,
arc that I was trying to understand how we had gotten all of these places, right? And but the MAGA Republican is a very different Republican than a McCain
yeah.
Republican. And so I was very concerned. And so I told her very clearly, before she could interact with my child, this is what my child has, informed us and let us know what is happening. We are all um, behind them, and 100% they are still loved and cared and cherished, and we will not broach any disrespect. So if that's something you can't do, then we won't be able to have this let's go back to school shopping. So and so my mother completely surprised me with a wholehearted not a problem. And I was like, okay.
I
And
mean, I love you for this. I love her for this. I was like, I
I know, reading like, what? Turn the page,
yes,
turn the page, what?
yes,
What?
yes.
And and this is something that, I'm writing a memoir right now, and I'm, just digging into how love makes spaces that we never thought were going to be possible. I can't even account for what this was for her, but she was absolutely on board, did not ever get a pronoun wrong, did not ever misname Zai. Um, like kind of day one, like did better than dad and I, and we thought we were doing pretty good. We were like,
No, and the reason,
how?
the reason I asked you that question is because obviously my parents are not watching this, obviously, but I know that there's a grandparent out there who is thinking like my father. I can't do it. I needed that story to make, and it's so beautiful how the way things happen, the way God just immaculately designs our lives. God knew that this was going to happen in the future. For those who believe in God, which I do, even though I'm no longer a Christian, I do believe that there's a God.
Yes,
God knew that God designed it that way so that it would happen that way. I don't know if that makes any sense. God needed your mom to have a no problem attitude while you were like, wait, what? Huh? Hmm? It was important so that this story will make, so that this story will come to light, so that we can talk about this. So all that grandparents would say, oh, she could do it, I could do it too. We need to normalize and have conversations about this. Let me tell you, I'm still getting DMs. I don't know when I'm going to stop about that one reel I made about telling my dad, not today. Today
yeah,
it stops. And he was
yeah,
like, wait, it took everything in me. My child is not doesn't follow me on Instagram. She may never know, but I did it, like you
yeah,
said, for me first of
for me.
all, and to also free my father, to free him, to lean into what is this thing that is my grandchild, because I know that that's the resistance is that, but this came from me. Yes, it came from you. So it's your it's your blood, your flesh and blood. Anyway,
But you know what? But what is so beautiful about it's like, I say that my children came through me, right? So when we really understand this idea of that each and every one of us are spiritual beings, right?
mhm, mhm.
You're not owned by the person who birthed you. You came through the person that
Through
birthed
them,
you.
yeah.
And therefore that can be all the things it is without having any other the things, or it can be all the things, meaning like, look how well what came through me did. Look
It's
how
doing,
beautiful
yes.
what came through me is doing. Or it can be like, oh my God, this came through. That must mean, and this is the part that you have to hold your own space of, I'm perfectly made and they're perfectly made. These are two separate lives. And it's a beautiful thing that they came through me, and yet they are their own person. And it's both in a beautiful sense and in a hard sense of, I can't make them be and do anything I want them to do because they came
Boom.
through me.
Yes.
And in the sense of, just because their light is shining doesn't mean you're brighter, So it's like,
Well, hello.
and so it works
Ooh.
both way. It's like this swinging door, and knowing that. But it's like, whatever happened for my mother in that moment, it had that love repair space that it held for knitting together this three generation. It was my mother loving me through loving my son, through
Yes.
loving me, right? So it's like, and and she did love me, right? So it's like, because whatever is happening with with others loving us, it's about them. It's not actually about the kid. It's not about.
Stop clock. Stop clock. Don, I love you so much. Kim beat me to it. I was going to ask you to come as our fourth Mama Beast. And look what Kim, Kim and I are like this. Kim, when I was already going to ask you to come as our fourth Mama Beast because right now we're in the market for a fourth Mama Beast. The other one just our non-binary Mama Beast just told us this week, 2 days ago, that they can't be part of the show anymore for family reasons. And we're like, oh, I have to find another Mama Beast. And I was gonna invite you because I need another mocha Mama Beast. So Foster is Latine and African American. So they're and then non-binary and then raising their child as a sort of gender norm, just a beautiful mix of a human being. But they can't be part of us anymore. And they just told us this past week. So I was like, I'm gonna ask Dawn if they want to come, if they could come. And then Kim, I promised you it wasn't planned. I have so many questions left for you, Dawn. I'm going to leave them because I want you to tell us how people can find you, follow you. And yes, we have about 12 people watching on Instagram. I don't know how many on Facebook, wherever, whatever. And I want you to say in front of everybody, will you at least consider coming back as a guest, if not coming back as one of the quartet? Because
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
First of all, I mean, first of all, it's just like to be wanted is always the most beautiful thing. So to be desired, to be thought of as having something to share that is valuable. So thank you. I just truly, humbly thank you. Absolutely yes to coming back, and we'll absolutely consider anything more, but coming back is an easy yes.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
And we'll stop
And
at that.
how
We'll take our
people,
yeses while we can.
yeah, so how people can find me is at Dior Yummy Factor. I'm on Instagram at Dior Yummy Factor and also if you're looking for the Yummy Factor by Dior.com is my website.
Okay.
And then yes, LinkedIn, and then Dawn Ballard. So if you search up Dawn Ballard, all the other things underneath it should follow. So
Okay.
thank you so
And
much.
and I think it's only fair to mention the memoir. When is it going to come out? I cannot wait. I will
Oh
definitely
my gosh.
order. Yes.
So let's just say I'm putting into the universe that 2025 is going to be receiving it. Yes, because I'm in the middle of working on it now, and so I'm excited. I'm plugging away.
I see your posts when you're talking about how you're digging through pictures. I see. Let me tell you,
Memoir Mondays.
I follows you. I follows you. Now, that said, there was one question I wanted to ask you. We have 3 more minutes. First of all, I want to mention to Kim, because Kim is watching. Kim, this is the lady that I told you that she also refers to her trans child as my sunshine. Kim also refers to her trans kid as a sunshine. Yes, SON. Yes. So Kim, meet Dawn. This is the person I was telling that she refers to her child as and I don't you're she her, right?
She her, yes.
As
Yes.
sunshine, SON. And then I wanted to ask you, what does being a parent ally mean to you? I want to add that from now on to all our guests as the last question, either what does being an ally or what does being a parent ally mean to you? So take us away with the definition of a parent ally for you, Dawn.
Yeah, so being a parent ally first starts off with knowing that you are, your child came through you, and that however they came is a perfect example of how spirit shows up and how humans show up. So, an ally is somebody who knows that unconditional love really is an action word. Being an ally also means that you make space for reading, creating knowledge and understanding, that you show up in your making sure that you are a part of feeling and understanding into a space of knowledge, so that you can advocate for them, and you can usually only advocate if you understand. And so it's hard to advocate when you're just kind of hands up, well, you're loved, but what am I supposed to do? But an allyship means that it's alongside to me. So that's space that, you know, I would never let any harm come to my child, cis or trans, or, you know, in any other space. And so I am an ally in all the ways that parenting happens. So that means that I'm there to protect, to love, to repair if need be, and to definitely make the world a better place for them to live in.
Amen. Amen. Dawn, I knew this was going to be good. I didn't know how good. I want to give thanks and praise to our ancestors, first of all, for making this happen,
Mm,
because I know that my ancestors, they're always like, yes, when I show up. I am their wildest dream. I
yes.
am their wildest dream come true. Oh my goodness. I can just see my grandmother never went to school for one day, but she's like, yeah, that's my girl. Go
Aw,
there and annihilate, go there and show up and show out, baby girl. And thank you so much, Dawn, for doing the same thing today. That's one. And
yes.
number two, to anyone who's out there who is queer or who is a parent or who is an ally, if you find yourself hiding in a closet,
Mm,
hiding your authenticity, hiding your true self, and you're looking for someone who can help you find your way to living out loud. My name is Dr. Lulu. I'm a gender and sexuality coach. I can help because I am living out loud. I am living out as loud as it gets because I can. So my name is Dr. Lulu. Come find me on Instagram at Dr. Lulu Talk Radio. Find Dawn at Yummy Dior Factor on
at
Instagram.
Dior
At,
factor. Uh-huh.
at Dior Yummy
Dior.
Factor.
Yep.
Okay, if you put Dior
Or
and
just look
Yummy
up Dawn
together,
Ballard. Dawn
Don Ballard,
Ballard.
yes, Don
Hmm.
Ballard, DAHNBALLARD. And yes, we have to give a shout out to our Hollywood hubby. All right, now. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please share the video, tell someone about the show. And we are booked into January 2025. Who could believe that? Woo! Let me tell you.
Woo!
I'm telling you, this is only
That's
May. We have
amazing.
every single week between now and January 2025,
Yeah.
we are booked. So it's a good thing. It's a
Yes,
good
it
thing. And
is.
thank you all so much for the love and the trust you have in us. I mean, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much, Don, for coming. Thank you to Kim and all the folks that are watching. I took down some names and then I stopped taking names. There was just too many people on Instagram. Thank you all so much for watching and see you all next Sunday, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. we will come live because it changes.
Yes, life
Don,
happens.
yes, Don, what do you want to say last going away words, not last word, but going away words for any mother, any parent whose child invites them in to their queer world? What would you say to them?
When you accept and love yourself, you can accept and love others. So, love whatever that part that is stopping you from being able to love your child, whatever fear that you're having, give yourself that love first, because you are the one that has to move from that space of fear into love, and then you can be giving that to others, whether it's your child or anybody else in the world. So know that, just sit for yourself with just yourself for a second and say, what is it? Where am I in fear? And how can I love myself through it? And then you'll be able to give that love.
Period. We're just going to stop right there. Because, yes, because that's what I always say, that you have to first accept yourself and then you can affirm your kid. Y'all,
Yes.
thank y'all so much. See y'all next Sunday. From me and the rest of the Mama Beast, peace, love, and soul. My name is Dr. Lulu, and I am out. Bye.
Woo! Bye.